Hello, everybody. How are you doing today on this wonderful Monday? Um, I wanted to pop on before I play this song because I just kind of want to explain it. So, somebody asked Gypsy, and I knew Gypsy liked Melanie Martinez, but and I like Melanie Martinez actually. So when I saw her say that this was one of her favorite Melanie Martinez songs, and I'd never listened to Teddy Bear, um, I looked it up. So that's going to be the song for the day. Let me get that and play it really quickly because I found the lyrics to be quite interesting considering. So here we go. Stitched you up, put you together with cotton and feather. Gave you love, put my heart inside you. Oh, what could I do? When you started talking in your sleep, saying the things you do to me, I didn't care, I wasn't scared. Now I'm finding knives under the sheets, crumpled photographs of me. I'm in despair, should I be scared? Teddy bear, you were my teddy bear. You were comforting and quiet. How did love become so violent? Teddy bear, you were my teddy bear. Everything was so sweet until you tried to kill me. La 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 la. La 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 la. I threw you out, I didn't outgrow you, I just didn't know you. But now you're back, it's so terrifying how you paralyze me. Now you're showing up inside my home, breathing deep into the phone. I'm so unprepared, I'm fucking scared. Teddy bear, you were my teddy bear. You were comforting and quiet. How did love become so violent? Teddy bear, you were my teddy bear. Everything was so sweet until you tried to kill me. La 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 Teddy bear, you were my teddy bear. You were comforting and quiet. How did love become so violent? Oh, teddy bear, you were my teddy bear. Everything was so sweet until you tried to kill me. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Interesting lyrics. She also said that her other favorite Melanie Martinez song is Dollhouse, which I knew that one, so I didn't listen to. Well, actually, I did listen to it again. I like that song, but it probably has a whole different meaning for old Jip Jip. Hey, everybody, XOXO, Sola. She's got the dark triad of our justice system released her back into the public to destroy even more lives. Yep, yep. But she, let's put her on a pedestal. Put her on a pedestal. Sadie, Wild One. Good to see you, Wild. Nicole, Cinnamon Hot Hot Hot. Carla, Outlandish History. Hello, Mishi. LN Dragon, Aaron Green, Jack Star. Jack Star, what are you doing? Lexi, Amanda Meatfoot, what's up? Hi, Kathy Bull. Hello from California. Hello from Texas. All right. And Tommy D way up there at the top. Silnat, good to see you. Okay, so hey Guac and Roll. On my last live stream, which I will put in here. Oh God, Jack Star. Anyhow, here's my other live stream. If you just want to skip everything before that and go, because I already read um a portion of these messages. So I'm going to pick up where I left off. So if you want to watch the first half, here it is. It's towards the middle or the end of the live stream. So I put that in the chat if you want to go back and listen to those. So we're just going to get right on into it because there's a lot of messages and only have so long to read them. Gypsy said we aren't allowed to have opinions. Oh God, her Mother's Day post. I cannot even. All the Jip Jip stuff. What has she been doing? Oh, she's been doing the most. I don't even know where to begin. Check out my channel. And there's a lot of other channels. And if you have a TikTok, just go look at TikTok. It's everywhere. Conspiracy is a great channel on YouTube and TikTok, and they've been covering Jip Jip. Nina has been covering Jip Jip. Of course, the Good Wives Network. Who else? Yeah, the Mother's Day video. Yeah, I posted that on my channel too. Woo! Cinema Shogun. Excellent. I just watched his Britney Spears video. But yeah, and then who am I forgetting? Down the Rabbit Hole at Bedtime has some pretty good vids. Nina's is hilarious. She's just floating above her. It's so funny. And they're so bothered by Nina. They can't take it. Can't handle Nina. It's quite hilarious because Nina is putting the facts out there. And that's what I'm here for today. We are here for the facts of the case that Jip Jip wants to lie about. The fetch. I got 19,000 views on that on TikTok on that one little video. It's like the highest one I've ever gotten. So I was a little proud of the fetch. I want to make another video out of her In-N-Out burger fucking video. I've never, and her clothes are falling off. Stop it, Gypsy. And then, her beach. She's back home in Louisiana. And Jip Jip is cussing now. She told us she don't give a shit what we have to say in her comment section, and no one is going to tell her how to feel about her own mother. It just made me think of her interrogation when she tells the interrogator, the detective, she tells him, I knew if I typed that on my mom's Facebook, the bitch is dead comment, that people would be alarmed because we don't cuss. And then she's over there cussing. She's got the worst people around her. I imagine that Ryan was probably a good handler for her. He was probably, I could see him being very like lovey, looking out for her all the time, trying to guide her, so to speak, in a, homebody direction. I think Ryan pictured their marriage to be, I'm going to be the breadwinner, so to speak, and go to work at my teaching job. And my wife is just going to be a stay at home mom because they said they were going to have children together. That didn't happen. Now, did it? Thank the good Lord. Poor Pixie. Poor Pixie. But anyhow, where now you have Gyp gone wild over here. She has left her husband. She's already cheating on her husband. Probably was already emotionally cheating on him prior to her leaving. And, Gyp's out here with no boundaries. So it should be interesting to see where she chooses to go. Now, in that video, she says that Christy, was a kick-ass woman. And, she will tell Gypsy when she messes up. Yeah, you probably do, but you probably sweep it under the rug. And that rug is going to get so full. And Christy and Gypsy are going to have a falling out at some point in time. Clock it. That's what I think. Gypsy does not want to be controlled in any way, shape, or form. She's a fucking brat bitch. She knew she could divorce him before they even got married. Yes, and I found on, I don't know if it was on your channel, Boston, but I've downloaded a few clips that I will upload soon for my next live or something. Hey, Amanda Erickson, I don't like her new nose. Yeah, I know, right? It's not much of a difference. Anyhow, and I found a video of Rod, and Rod is talking about how he didn't really approve. This is in the Lifetime series, well, he says something to the effect of, she can just divorce him. If it doesn't work out, she can just divorce him and be done. So, yeah, I think she knew she wasn't going to stay with Ryan from the jump, but I kind of said that from the jump, that she was using him because, hello, he lives in Louisiana. When you're released, you have to be released to somebody you're related to or something along those lines. And of course, let's go to my husband who looks just like my mom. Was Dee Dee a human furnace as well, Gypsy? Maybe that's why she turned the air conditioner down so low, because Dee Dee was a hot sleeper. I don't know. Anyways, so let's get into these text messages. Like I said, I've already read through a lot of them on my last live stream. I'm going to put that in here if you want to go straight to like the middle towards the end after, and listen to those. There they are. So I'm going to pick up where I left off, which was 368. I also did a live when Gyp first got out and stuff, where I went over all of the crime scene photos. Just go to my live streams and it'll say all of the live stream photos. I want to do that again, but man, that took a long time because when I look at crime scene photos, I'm zooming in here, zooming in there. I want to see what's going on in the background of these photos. She comes for her mother, spoiling her. Yeah. Right? Yeah. She was so abused. I cannot. All right. What did I say? What page? Let me look real quick. Hold on. Hey, Vicky. Do you think when Ken moves to Louisiana, she will be allowed to? No, I don't. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I do believe it's part of her probation that she has to live with a relative. And considering she is cheating on her husband because she's not divorced. All right, I was on page 367. Okay. I don't know Louisiana law or anything like that, but adultery is not a good look. And then going out and trying to flaunt your adultery to the masses, is insane to me. Does fiance count as being a relative? How can that be her fiance if she's not even divorced? Isn't that illegal? They're not. Oh gosh, she makes me sick. She'll try. They're probably like secretly engaged. She'll try to schmooze Ryan again as soon as she realizes her divorce is going to go very badly. Should be interesting. This whole divorce thing. I hope Ryan mops the floor with her. The nerve of her to file for spousal support when she's buying $20 fucking Hailey Bieber smoothies. Bitch. Have a seat, Gyp. Have a fucking seat, Gypsy.
I want a lawyer. Please, sir. Sir? I want a lawyer. Please, I need a lawyer.
Okay, have a seat.
Bitch, sit down. Be humble. Sit down.
I want a lawyer.
Forgot I had it on loop. Yeah, sit the fuck down, Gyp. Okay, so I also saw somebody say that they watched Nick's trial and where they read through the text messages. Now, I could be wrong because I haven't watched all of his trial. But I don't think they read through every single text message. Like, it's very important. And that's why I encourage you to either go read it yourself or go back to my last live where I start from the very beginning because it's all leading up. It's not just a day or two. It's like a month or two, or a month. I can't. But we're on May 27th. And the murder was June the 9th. So, yes, go back and listen to those if you haven't yet. Hey, Blue Ivy, so good to see you. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to see the chat for a little bit. All right, let me get a little sippy of water, and we're going to get started. I wonder if he read them from start to finish. All right, here we go. All right, so we are on Wednesday, May the 27th at 6:49 p.m. Maybe we should just go back to where this day begins, or it spills, and you have to remember that these spill over from one day into the late early morning hours, and yeah, so that's why it's important to pay attention to date and times. All right, let's see. All right, so we're on Wednesday, May 27th of 2015 at 6:18 p.m. Gypsy says, "What was it for, hun?" Oh, and you please also keep in mind that a lot of these, like, they're not just talking on text, they're also talking on Facebook. They're also having Skype calls. They're also talking through messengers of different websites. You know what I mean? So you'll see things where she's like, get online or get on Facebook. So I would love to see the Facebook messages between these two. They have to be somewhere. All right. What was it for, hun? He said, that was my evil side who did that. My good side would never call you that, hun. Maybe a bitch for when you're being one, but that is all, hun. He says, well, it's all true, hun, and it was about voices in my head, but instead of getting rid of them, they became part of me, baby. How it works is based on my thoughts and feelings, dear. Depends on what part of me shows, honey. Gypsy says, I understand, hun, but that don't mean I don't understand you. I do. He says, Well, maybe after I explained it, you understand, sweetie. Otherwise, no one else understands, hun. She says, well, I do understand. Well, I do. You understood me in my different ways. He said, well, we're supposed to understand each other if we just know how to express each other, dear. She says, sometimes I'm too expressive, lol. He says, not really, because expression involves details and you know I'm better at that, hun. She says, yes, you are, but I too want everything you do too. He says, what do you mean? She says, everything you said you want, I want too, to be together. He says, honey, this is where we're different though, in all caps. I don't just want everything with you, but I need everything with you for me to feel complete, sweetheart. She said, I need you too. She said, promise me the good part of you will never die. By the way, I'm on Facebook too. He says, really, dear? Because at times I wonder if you need me. Baby, it could never die. Talking about his good side. She says, I do need you. It kills me to make you have to be on these ups and downs. It kills me to make you have to be on these ups and downs. This is because Jip is, look, Jackstar, you better chill out or I'm going to boot you. I know a lot of these people personally, like, grew up 5 minutes away from Christy, Rod, Dylan, and Mia. Really? You want to hit me up, Macy? I'll give you my email. I would love to know more. I'll wait until you finish with these text messages so I can explain all about these people from personal experience. Okay. All right. All right. Or you can come up on the panel. It's up to you. Here's my email. I'm going to put it on the screen here. hellostarlight02@gmail.com, which I haven't logged into that account, and I need to. So if you send it right now, it's going to take me a minute to get it. It's chemical. Okay, Jackstar, chill out, or you got to go. All right, back to the messages. Okay, so I was saying, before this, she keeps talking about having these freakouts, and I think what she's doing is toying with him because I don't think Gypsy quite knew if she wanted to leave with him at this point. Does that make sense? Like, she did, but she keeps changing her mind, like trying to tell him she doesn't want to live in Big Bend. She wants to live in Waukesha, like things like that. He says, honey, you would not mind using a sweet name every once in a while. It helps me remember I'm worshipped, hun. She says, sure, sweetie. He said, that's better, dear. She says, it's not that I don't worship you. I do, baby. I do. And I look forward to being with you. I'm just dealing with everything changing, hun. He says, about you, or exactly what changes, dear? She says, the move, the change that's coming. Darling, I'm scared. He says, scared of what, my love? She says, of everything. She says, I'm not good with change, baby. He says, everything, sweetheart, we both have that in common when it has to do with moving, dear. Okay, they're talking about like her moving. I'm going to be okay. I just need to calm down and take a breath. But darling, my feelings for you will never change. That's Gypsy. I'm yours and you do make me happy. He says, I hope they never change because you scare me at times, dear. He says, I hope so, honey, because I put my mind, heart, and soul into being with you and making you happy, sweetie. She says, my feelings won't change, and though I have freakouts, I always come back to you, my love. I'm so sorry I scared you. Freakouts. Freakouts. I wonder if we've already read the one where she says, I'm sorry that I said that having a life with you would be trash. All right, here we go. I'm so sorry I scared you. She says, I'll give you lots of love in the hotel, baby. You know, it's on Gypsy's mind always. The D. The D. He says, well, that's reassuring, dear. I needed that. Heart. After doing what my evil side said, hun. All right. She says, I reassured you on Facebook too, hun. Yes, baby. She's saying yes to after what my evil side said. Yes, baby. Okay, baby, he says. She says, you said don't let anything in our way. Okay, so we are 7:49 p.m. 7:50. Gypsy also says, I wore myself out with being emotional. He says, it's true, dear. I'm guessing you have a correlation to that when I said it, dear, about not letting anything in their way. He said, it's true, dear. I'm guessing. Oh, it's a repeat. She says, sorry, hun, because now we're at 9:25 p.m. So we went from about an hour and a half later. Sorry, hun, I took a nap. He says, I thought you did, dear. She says, I hope you feel better now, hun, because I do. He says, I just needed to be reassured, hun. She says, okay, darling. Well, I love, adore, and worship you, my everything, and I'm not giving up. She says, XOXOXO. He says, that's music to my ears, sweetie. She says, big smile. He says, dear, will there be less of these freakouts in person? Okay, so she's having these freakouts. She says, yes, darling, when we're together, I will be a lot more relaxed, mostly because we can use hugs, kisses, and body language to prevent it. But remember, Gypsy only has a second grade education, but man, she is good at forming sentences and all this mumbo jumbo. Hey, Mama Mac. All right, I'm not going to be able to see the chat. He says, true, and sex will relieve us of this stress, dear. She says, LOL, that too, hun. He says, yes, dear, heart. She says, a lot of our problems are we don't have a physical relationship, hun, so it's hard, hun. He says, true, I suppose most of our problems are physical related, dear. She says, and I want you to know being with me won't be hell. It will be much better, sweetie. Ooh. He says, when exactly, dear, since you got me curious? All right, we're on May 27th, remember? She says, well, I'm going to start now, but I'll be all the way better when we see each other, hun. He says, all right, dear. She says, do I make you happy? He says, when you don't have your freakouts, yes, dear. She says, maybe you might like me better in person. By the way, I'm afraid of bugs, just so you know, hun. He says, bugs, dear, there is no reason for that, and you know I'll worship you either way, in person or from afar. She says, I'm just letting you know my phobia, it's bugs and spiders. I always feel like crap after I freak out because you're caught in the middle. I think I read these. I think I went back a little too far, but still. We're just going to read them anyways. Okay, so she says, I always feel like crap after I freak out because you're caught in the middle. What does that mean? What is he caught in the middle of? What does that mean? He's spooky, girl. Yeah, the bugs. One of her stories is that her mom made her sleep on the porch with the bugs. I don't believe that. Maybe she threw her out and she wouldn't leave, so she slept on the porch. I don't know. That came out of nowhere, just kind of like how she said she likes to suck out of a baby bottle at 23 years old. Pediasure from a baby bottle. Caught in the middle of her tirades. Yeah. Oh, hello, Ash 274. What was Jackstar doing? Oh, I saw a chat post by him. Oh, Jackstar, I know him sort of. Like he's been around for a long time. He's an interesting fellow. I'll just leave it at that. All right, here we go. She says, I can't stay even an hour away from me, you. I don't know what that means. He says, and spiders, that's also something harmless to you most of the time, hun. He says, it's meant to be that way, though, dear. She says, it's just my fears, hun. She says, Gypsy. So you take your little creepy, buggy friends and escort them out the house. He said, exactly, dear. He says, and don't worry about bugs. They're harmless, hun. She says, so we're all cool, sweetheart. And we're at 11:17 p.m. He says, yes, hun. It's just your freakouts that scare me, honey. Oh, freakouts? Haha. I want to see the freakout. She says, we have that in common, hun. I don't know what that means. Freakouts? He said, of course we do, dear. All right, so now we're into Thursday, but we're in the wee hours of the morning at 12:44 a.m. She says, we are all lovey again, my cutie pie. Let's see, what was the time jump there? 11:21 to 12:44. I bet they got on the Facebook, hitting it up. He said, that's great news, my Ellie. She goes, oh, my dear Carl. I definitely read these last time because I looked up Ellie and Carl, and those are the old, in the movie Up, with the balloons and the old man. It's his wife was named Ellie, and he was Carl. So she says at 1:14 a.m., meet me on Facebook, my love. He says, hun, I'm glad you picked up on that reference, talking about Ellie and Carl. She says at 1:16, LOL, nice job, cap up. I don't know what that means. He says, I knew you would catch on to it, dear. Oh, Up, the movie. Gotcha. She says, darling, will you tell me the movie you want to watch with me yet? He says, oh, the same one I have as a surprise. No, dear, it's a surprise. She says, really? LOL, oh my God, do you have it? The movie. She wants to watch a movie with him. Netflix and chill in the bedroom of the hotel room. He says, no, but we'll buy it together, sweetie. She said, okay, hun. Oh, if I show you a YouTube clip of a TV show, would you tell me if you would watch it with me, hun? He said, well, I have to see the clip first, dear. All right, now we're into Friday, May 29th. She says at 1:20 a.m., hey, handsome. He says, hey, gorgeous. She says, drool makes me horny. Ew, Gypsy. Okay, now these messages, if you have not heard them, are a little hard to read at times. We'll put it at that. Jip is a horn dog. Jackstar, calm down. Dear hun, No, not to Jagstar. I'm just talking about this. Yeah, Simmer, if you may have to time his ass out if you don't calm down. Oh shit. Yeah, trigger warning. Some of these can get quite dirty. Well, she's still doing that. All right, peace out, Jackstar. It's okay. He's all right. All right. Okay, so Jip at 1:21 a.m. says, "Drool makes me horny, LOL. You're weird." I don't know why she said you're weird. Okay. I think you're weird, Gypsy, if drool makes you horny. Is that why you're always licking your lips? All right, so Nicholas says, "Baby, you'll understand when you experience it." She says, "Darling, I'm safe." Okay, this is at 9:20 p. Wait, what time is that? 8:20 p.m. 8:20 p.m. That's quite a time jump. Long story, but tornado warning was issued. He says, "That's good news, dear." She says, "Darling, can you please meet me online? We need to talk about our plan." You hear old Jip. Oh, who's the mastermind here? Gypsy is. He says, "Okay, honey." 11:55 p.m. Okay, I cannot stand saying daddy and all this, but I'm reading the messages. She says, "I'm still daddy's girl. Hold me. And yes, it's Kitty Daddy." Okay, if you remember, one of her alter egos, or whatever you want to call her made up role playing, that's what it is. One of her roles that she would role play was as Kitty. Yes, Tommy, that was quite interesting. But yeah, Kitty was a little girl. It's just so gross. It makes me sick. Ugh. But that is just the facts. It's gross. All right. He says, "Baby, why didn't you answer daddy before?" And he says in quotes, "As I hold you in my lap." I definitely read these last time, but we're just going to go with it again. Okay. She says, "I was taking tummy med to make me feel better, so I put my phone down." All right, now we're in Saturday, May 30th, 12:02 a.m. He says, "Okay, honey, just never change on daddy because I never want you to be anything but daddy's everything." And then in quotations, "as I rock you back and forth in my arms on my lap." She says, "I won't change, daddy. I curl into your shoulder and cuddle." He says, "I keep rocking you back and forth in my arms on my lap. Are you my same daddy's girl that I reminded you of being in the past, dear?" What does that mean? That I reminded you of being in the past? What is that? Okay, now we're to 2:05 p.m. I don't know what happened after that. I don't know if they took it to Skype. I don't know. So at 2:05 p.m., Gypsy says, "Hey, baby. Darling, does your house have any kind of car? I'm looking on Google Maps." He says, "Dear, it depends on how updated their world map is. Last time I looked, it wasn't the right vehicle." She says, "Wow, it's a small place, LOL." So she's talking about his house. She wouldn't Google Earthed it, and she's like, "Wow, that's a really small house." Gypsy, you had a tiny little house. What are you talking about? What did you expect from this guy? Like, really? He's on disability at age, what, 20? How old was Nick? 26? I can't remember. Hey, my pal Sal Vintage. All right, here we go. He says, "Yeah, it's small to a degree." Gypsy says, "I looked at the population and it's smaller than the smallest town I've lived in. I thought 7,800 was small." He says, "Like I said, it used to be a village. Now it's a town." She said, I'll adjust. LOL. She says, besides smaller, less trouble. He says, I hope so because it shouldn't be easy on because it should be an easy one to transcend to, hun. She says, are you ready? Like in all ways, hun? All ways? What is all of the ways? Jip, jip. So we're at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He says, what do you mean, dear? She said, for me. He says, if I wasn't, I wouldn't be so eager to be living with you, dear. She says, I was supposed to get pregnant in a week and a half. I was supposed to get pregnant in a week and a half. He says, okay, hun, so what are you saying? Now, what I think she's saying here is that because they had planned, what was it, A, B, and C? But one of plan B, I do believe, is the schmurder. Plan whatever was for her to get pregnant so then she could run away with Nick. So I think what she's saying here is like, you're supposed to get me pregnant in a week and a half, but instead let's go with the other plan, which is to schmurder my mother. But I could be wrong. I don't know. He says, okay, hun, what are you saying? She says, I just feel sad I'm not, like she's not going to get pregnant. He says, oh, I see, hun. She says, part of me is really worried about my tube. What if I could have it taken out being pregnant? He says, you said you would have it taken out. She said, could you wait like 10 months for plan B? So plan B would be the schmurder, if I'm correct. Because Gypsy says in one of her interviews that she became very numb to plan B. Cane Corso mom, hey, good to see ya. Okay, so he says, so you want me to get you pregnant again? Like, because a lot of people are saying this one right here in particular. So you want me to get you pregnant again. And people have come up with a theory that they think that, I've seen no proof to this. That's why I call it a theory. So people think that Nixie, what the hell? Gypsy told Nick that she was pregnant and she lost the baby because of her feeding tube and blamed it on her mom. I don't really know if that is what's going on here. Because, the reason they say that is because he says, do you want me to get you pregnant again? I think what he's saying is, do you want me to get you pregnant again? Like, do you want to go with that plan? Let's go back to plan whatever of the baby that I'm going to get you pregnant. So that's the plan you want to go with again? Because she keeps going back and forth, it seems, from murder to plan whatever, A, B, and C. I haven't seen any proof to back up that Nick has ever said that Gypsy said she was ever pregnant. So that's why I just think you can look at it a different way. And I think that's what he's talking about is the plan. This daddy business gives insight. I think Gypsy said that Nick was into incest. And I say bullshit. I think Gypsy is into incest. Okay. She was letting her mama shave her chocha. That's weird. And I could name also, she married someone that looked like her mother. She had schmecks with someone that looks like her fucking mother. And Ken looking a little like her dad. I'm just saying that. And then she liked playing this little, like a little kid role. It's fucking gross. Yeah, Gypsy's definitely the freak here. Nick, okay, and this is all in the documents, the interrogation. It is said a lot that Nick couldn't even get it up, okay? He had a problem. Nick probably had never, maybe had sex once or twice. I don't know. But I don't think he was experienced. No Gypsy's over here being the freak hoe. I think he had a lot of ideations or fantasies, but like he was no, oh, yeah. All right, let's keep going. So you want me to get you pregnant again? And she says, I'm getting it changed, hun. Talking about her feeding tube. He says, oh, because for a second I thought you wanted me to get you pregnant again, dear. See what I'm talking about? Like, I think he's talking about the plan of getting her pregnant, because I'm guessing she was like, no, we're not going to go with the plan. We're going to go with the schmurder plan. And then she keeps playing this back and forth with him about doing it, not doing it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's what he means by getting her pregnant again. Like, we're going to go back to that plan. She says, I just was wondering, does Big Bend have a hospital? Besides, I'm late on my period. He said, no. How would she be late on her period? When did they go to the movie theater? Does anybody remember? Like, why are you even saying that? She was a 3 input girl already. I watched the Mother's Day video, and there is something so wrong with her. She's highly... Yes. The manipulation is humongo. And it's a pattern. If you look at everything, it's a huge pattern. I think Gypsy is worse than her mother. They were both freaks, let's be real. Yeah. Yes, they were both very sexual at Ash. March, okay, and we're in May. Okay, so she's late on her period, allegedly. He said no about there being a hospital in Big Bend. He says okay about her being late on her period. He just says okay. She said, gotcha. He says, mm-hmm. She says, let's move to Milwaukee. We can stay with your mom for a little. He says, Milwaukee, I'd rather be living in Waukesha, hun. She says, okay, darling, we can look up apartments in Waukesha. And she says, and with the 5,000 I have, we will be set. He says, good idea, dear. See, in this, like the 5,000. So I thought the story goes that after the schmurder, they went and stole the money from the safe. But if you pay attention, she says, or maybe it was he, that the money was in a drawer. It was in like a top drawer. I don't think they went into the safe unless it was to get more money. I don't know. But did she already have this 5,000? Like, how does she know exactly how much it was? Probably because she was rummaging around in there. Like she says that, oh, I was looking in my mom's drawer and I came across my Medicaid and my Social Security card that said I was born in 1991. Yeah, well, I don't know if Gypsy was inexperienced. Okay, she was hooking up with Dan the Man for quite a while. They were doing kinky stuff. Okay, with the 5,000 I have, we will be set. He says, good idea, dear. She says, I don't need to marry you to live with you. So we can take our time with the wedding. She says, I saw Waukesha looks beautiful, and I can plant and sell. Oh, I'm sorry. And I can paint and sell my art. Yeah, I'd like to, like the art you made in prison, where it's literally, oh my gosh, I need to find the photo. Okay, this is literally what she wrote or drew in prison. I'm just saying. We have to take a look at it here. Pause. Where is it? Oh. God, I hate these news articles. Just show me the picture. Okay. See this picture? I need a better one. So it's obviously a picture of her and her mom. Why she has a freaking nose tube. She's never had one of those. It says my hand right here, if it's hard to tell. And then you got the hammer here. And I believe written on the hammer, it says Nick. Am I wrong? Where is it? Because that's all she was to him, was a tool. Just like all these other people. Just a tool in her fucking game. Oh, you got your channel back, shit show? All right. So yeah, look up her prison drawing. Oh, AC's back. Did you leave? Did you ever leave to be back? All right. Okay, so he says, "Dear, I know that, but you mean our 5,000. True, baby." He says, "Yeah." She says, "Yes, my darling." And then she says, "And who knows, maybe after a while we can have a ceremony like a wedding, hun. You would make a handsome groom." He says, "And we'll live in my birth city, hun. Hopefully live close to Woodman's so we can get groceries extremely cheap, dear." She says, "Waukesha would be a dream come true, sweetheart." He says, "Hun, we're still going to follow our kind's traditions, though, dear." She says, "Of course, darling." He says, "I look forward to it, my dear." She says, "I look forward to cuddles." Oh, goodness. She says, "I dreamt about it, and you gave me oral schmecks." Oh, Gypsy. No, Gypsy. Why? Why? All right, he says, "Maybe so, but I look forward to kissing you, as I will do in the future." She says, blushes. He says, "Well, it's true, baby." He said, will you give, she says, this is Jip, "Will you give me my first orgasm soon, my love? Will you finger me on the bus? I desire pleasure too, hun." You hear that? She wants to get freaky deaky on the bus. Freaky on the bus. Sweet baby angel Neo got here just in time for the dirty, dirty. Not the bus. Yes, she wanted to, she wanted him to digitally press her buttons with his digits. "I never really left, but the shit show is back after all those false." Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, someone tried to false strike my channel down one time. And yeah, it took me about a month or so to get it back. We won't go into that though. All right. Will you give me my first meh? And will you, diddle my skittle on the bus? I desire pleasure too, hun. And he says, "Hun, I may be naughty on the bus, but it just depends on the moment. Depends on how naughty, hun." She says, "Well, I'm going to touch you, and I'm going to kiss you too everywhere." And he says, "Dear, I may give you permission to." She says, "Good, darling." She's giving him permission. I thought this was a dominant what is the other one? Why can't I think of the word? Submissive. It sounds like Nick is the submissive one. in my personal opinion. All right. She says, good, darling. He says, as for the kissing, you know you can do that on my body, sweetie. She says, the first movie I want to watch with you is 50 Shades of Grey. I also think we should start with soft, wet anal schmecks before big time anal. Okay, so Gypsy, tell us again how Nick graped you. Please. Please. I know. I'm trying not to say it in her voice because it would sound even worse. All right. Yeah, she wants it in the butt. Then she says, "Let's talk on Facebook, LOL." Dirty is going on that Facebook. I'm telling you. He says, we're at 8 o'clock at night. Dear, I'll watch that with you to get us in the mood, which depends on the time. It could be later movie, dear. He says, as for anal, don't worry about that. Just don't worry about that because it's my job as your master too, dear. Well, there, he's the master now. She said, you make my girly parts tingle. Oh, God. Okay, now we're at 11:30-ish at night. I'm glad I do because I'm supposed to, hun. She says, I'm thinking about you in a naughty way. He said, that's good, with a heart. Now we're into the wee mornings of Sunday at 12:25 a.m. She says, you're a great daddy, and thank you for doing the worst for the best of us. Gross. He says, you're welcome, my dear. She says, we're at 1:30 a.m. now, about an hour jump. Looking at your movie likes and music, we couldn't be more opposite. I like country, you like metal. I like drama. Oh, foreshadowing. I like drama, you like comedy. Gypsy says, still, this is all Gypsy till in a second. Goodness, this is awkward. Well, I'll expand my interests. He says, those are just a few, hun. She says, I do like the animated ones. He says, we have more in common than you may think. She says, darling, please read what I said. He said, okay, hun. I'm guessing that's on Facebook. So now we're at 6:22 a.m. She texts him, good morning, my love of my life. You know what? I'm going to start wearing a ring because I want to feel married to you. So one of my rings from the girly shop Claire's will do. All right. Just remember that she's promising, I want to be married to you. I love you. We're going to have a wedding. We're going to move to Waukesha. You're my everything. She's setting him up. He says, okay, hun, and sorry I didn't answer until now. 4:05 p.m. I need to tell you a secret, hun. That's Gypsy. Here, this is the bottle thing. All right, let me read that again. So she says, I need to tell you a secret, hun. He says, go ahead, dear. She says, I never stopped sucking Pediasure from a baby bottle. She's 23 years old. Why? Delulu, why are you sucking Pediasure from a baby bottle? This part always disturbs me when I read it. Why? Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Question, why don't you have the Facebook logs? Because they're sealed, they're in evidence, and this is what I've been told. Since Nick has an appeal in right now, they cannot release those things until the appeal process is over. So a lot of the Facebook posts, a lot of the video evidence of her dressed up in these outfits and, acting like Ruby or Demona, bottle ride. What? Royal mashed potatoes and Pediasure in my baba. Gypsy's baba. But yeah, so a lot of that is sealed for the time being, including Dee Dee's autopsy report. Still haven't seen that. I hope so, Neo. But his appeal is like going to the Supreme Court because it was already denied, and so who knows how long that process is going to take. But one of these days, Gypsy, we're going to have all of it, bitch. And you better be ready. Okay. I never stopped sucking Pediasure from a baby bottle. He says, baby, I already knew that. She goes, you know? How? He says, baby girl, baby girl, seriously, do you not understand that I am with you spiritually? I experience everything with you, dear. That's why there is no point in hiding things from me. She goes, oh, okay, hun. And then she says, are you with me when I'm naked? And then she goes, I'm going to church, hun. Like, right. Why are you going to church at 4? Whatever. But yeah, that's how most people prepare for church there, Gypsy. He says, okay, hun, I'm with you at all times. She says, darling, I'm 100% with the plan. The plan. Now we're at 7:37 p.m. He says, what do you mean, dear? She says, I'm in for it, hun. No doubts. He says, okay, darling. She said, that's all. Just okay. I was expecting, I don't know, joy, I guess. He says, dear, of course I'm happy. How was she doing all this texting like all day and all night long, but was being watched and had no freedom to do anything or experience anything but this? She is on the phone all day and night and on Facebook and all these other things. He experienced bottle sucking through the ether. Yeah, he did. Has anyone been watching the Paul? Yes, I talked about that a little bit one day. Baby girl, baby girl. Hey, baby girl. Oh my gosh, Paul Ferguson and baby girl. I can't. That is some funny shit. In the last call, Paul Ferguson said that he sat on his balls. He did. Jill Fiona. Yes, I know. I know. Baby girl. I'm sorry, baby girl. I love you, baby girl. Sad. That guy is such a freak. And that baby girl needs to find herself. She needs Jesus. All right. Gypsy said, okay, good, sweetie. What's your stepdad's name? Just so I know. He says, Charlie. That is what it is, hun. She says, okay, darling, cool. He says, yes, dear. She says, please be online. So she's going to get on the computer. Okay, darling. Now we're into the wee hours of Monday, June the 1st. And remember, the murder happens on the 9th. All right. June 1st, 1:19 a.m. So you won't end this? So, because they've been over on the Facebook or something, on Skype, talking about something. Who knows? So she comes back into the text messages and is like, so you won't end this? What does that mean? End what, Jip Jip? He says, I'm not saying anything besides it's a waste of time. She says, get your ass back now, in all caps. Get your ass back now. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to rip you a new one. This is Gypsy, okay? This is Gypsy talking. Nick says, that's not worth it. I always fight for us. It's your turn for once. Okay. Gypsy says, me? How the hell am I going to fight if it's one-sided? Well, see how she's emotionally fucking with this guy? Like, she went from, I'm gonna wear a pretend ring and pretend like we're married, and now he says that she's not fighting. It just makes me wonder what was said in those other messages. God, I want to know. All right, so Gypsy says, what will I wear to what? You just said you were going to rip him a new ass. Let's read that. No, that's not worth it. I always fight for us. It's your turn for once. That's what he said. She says, me? How the hell am I going to fight if it's one-sided? Then she says, what will I wear to impress your folks? And then she says, I'm going to go with you, God damn it. I think that's what she's telling him in the other messages, because you know that video where she's dressed as Demona and she says, I'll pull the one card I have over you, Gypsy. So I think like she's telling him, like, Gypsy doesn't want to go with you. But then she's saying, like, I'm going to go with you, God damn it. You see him? Does that make sense? She's emotionally manipulating him, yes. Yeah, they're pretending to divorce now. Disney princess with the shiny wig and tiara. She's threatening to leave him, yes. And then she's like, I'm going to go with you, God damn it. Because he's not really bending to her in this, he's like, you're not fighting for us. I'm the only one fighting. And then she's kind of saying the same thing. Like, it can't if it's only one-sided. Okay, I'm going to go with you, God damn it. He says, I told you I'll let you know in person. Why do you say it that way? She says, okay, so now she comes back and she says, I'm me again. I'm sorry, my love. Okay, so she had an out-of-body experience, I guess, while they were on the Facebook or the Skype. Hey, Texas girl, good to see you. And now she snapped back into reality and says, it's me. I'm me again. I'm sorry, my love. Fucking weirdo. He says, and we're at 2:30 in the morning. He says, dear, you gave me another scare. Is he talking to her like she snapped back into reality and he's like telling her, hey, you scared me a minute ago. She says, okay, well, good night, hun. Jeez. She says, I don't know what's wrong with me. Do you know? So she's asking Nick what's wrong with her. He says, come on, baby. I know you can bond with me better than that. And in all caps, I love, adore, and worship you, my dear true love. She says, I just did it online. What does that mean? Like bonded with him online? I just did it online. At the same time, I didn't mean it when I called a life with you trash. So that's what she said online in one of these videos that she's doing. She called a life with him trash. Another freak out. Yep. I want to play something just really quick, okay? I think it's important. And it's not very long. Just give me 1 second. I think it's important to play. And then we'll finish. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Here it is. So this is Nicholas's final words before he was sentenced, because Gypsy took a plea deal. And Nicholas decided he was not going to take a plea deal
Is there
and that he wanted it to go to trial. So Nick had a trial. He was very, very poorly represented. And some people think that his lawyers were working against him. So this is what he had to say before he was sentenced to, the sentence that he's carrying out right now. So it's hard to hear him. I'm going to put the closed caption on. Hopefully y'all can hear him. It's really sad because he was like, so if you watch his interrogation, he is so consumed with Gypsy. He would have done anything for her. He didn't know what love was. He didn't, and his disabilities make him very, he was obsessed. He was very obsessed with Gypsy and he loved her to the ends of the earth. He would have done anything to be with her, including murder. And she took advantage of that. All right, here we go.
Is there anything you'd like to say before I pronounce sentence?
Maybe a little.
Yes, sir.
Well, when this whole thing happened, like I've said it before in my statement, it's just very much the truth, so I'll just say it again. When this whole thing happened, all I ever really wanted to be was with Blanchard. That's all I ever wanted to be. I've never known what it was like to have a motherly love. I've never known what it's like to have hate.
Okay, so what he said is, all I wanted to do was be with Miss Blanchard. I never knew love. I don't know why it translated it to gun. He's never known love before. He's never been intimate with a female in that way.
Female connection. I've never known any of that. None of it. Because I've never known it, that's part of the reason why I strive so hard to get it. So much to the point where I don't even understand what it even feels like to have a female connection. It's missing. It's a missing link. It's always been a missing link. It's always been one. And that's the reason why, I guess, when I got so deep into this situation where I fell in love so deeply, they do say, and they've always said it, love is blind. They've always said that. Well, I'll admit it, I was blindly in love. That was always very much the case. It was
He said, well, I'll admit it, I was blindly in love, and that was always very much the case.
always that way. So, I understand that you're a fair judge. I've heard it from both my parents. And all I ask is just for mercy, please.
Is what?
Mercy of any form. That's all I ask.
Sad. Hey, Sweet Sativa, good to see you. All right. I just think it's very important for people to hear that. It's really sad. Okay. I didn't mean it. This is Gypsy to Nick. I didn't mean it when I called a life with you trash. He said, dear, it's about the sex, like I told you before. The sooner I give you an orgasm, the sooner you go back to your lovey-dovey happy self, hun. But I just said it back to you, sweetie. Please say it back to me, sweetie. Gypsy says. So sex is like a tranquilizer, LOL. He said, baby, someday you'll how important it is in our life. She says, just forget all I said tonight. He says, why do you say that? What did you say, Gypsy? Put out the Facebook messages. She says, I never meant any hurtful thing. I'm in self-destruction mode. How does she even know what that is? This poor, sheltered girl who wasn't allowed to do anything but be abused by her mom. She wasn't allowed to have a social life. She only had a second grade education. But how do you know what self-destruction mode is? Like, what the fuck? Doesn't make sense. The math ain't mathin'. She says, when I'm like that, ignore me. He says, well, all I could do is hope you come back, honey. She said, I want to be with you. He says, I know, dear. You scared me, though. I thought I lost you. She said, you almost did. She says, I think I'm bipolar. Gypsy says she thinks that she's bipolar. He says, what? Baby, I don't want to lose you, though. And you told me that I couldn't ever lose. Now I worry I will. So she's got him worried that he's going to lose her. She said, well, it's more I would push you away until you walked away. I can't leave, but I can make you leave. That is very fucking telling in this whole situation with her divorce and everything that, even in the Lifetime series, she says that she would mess with Ryan to the point that it was cruel. Those are her words. So let me read that again. She says, well, it's more I would push you away and I would push you away until you walked away. I can't leave, but I can make you leave. He says, baby, is that supposed to be comforting? She says, in a way, yes, hun. He says, please don't push me away too hard, hun. She says, is there medication for bipolar, hun? He says, baby, if I did let you take medication for that, are you thinking it would help? We're at 3:00 in the morning now. She says, ow, massive migraine. I'm not sure it could be the distance. Huh? She said, because I would have jogged to Wisconsin that night I met you. She would have jogged, y'all. She didn't ever use those legs, right? She would have jogged. Never ever mentioning anything about a wheelchair. Okay. And he says, so are you saying it will get better once we're in person? She says, yes, darling, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'll still have mood swings, just not severe ones like tonight. He says, baby, please say it because I'm worried still, and it would be nice to be comforted right now. She says, sweetie, please don't be worried. I'm not going anywhere. Well, I'm going with you, but I mean, I'm by your side, hun. She says, the ups and downs will balance out with us being together in person. He says, you know what I want to do after tonight's scare, hun? Meaning her freak out. She says, have sex, LOL, nudges your arm. He said, baby, do you remember the Tangled post I gave you a while ago? Tangled as in the movie, the Disney movie. She says, of course, hun. She says, you want to hit me with a frying pan? Because that's what he does in the movie. She does. She hits him with a frying pan. He says, I want to do that right, just so I know you aren't going anywhere. Yes, the Tangled post, when both tied each other up. I wish I could just so you would be stuck with me. So he's like, basically saying, I'm so in love with you. Like, I wish I could tie you to me and we could be together all the time. She says, you are with a little red string, kisses your forehead. He says, how, hun? She said, we are tied by our souls and hearts. She says, I might tie you up in a kinky way, LOL. Always got to make it dirty, make it weird. Nick says, honey, I'm warning you, though. You ever give me a scare like that in person, I will tie you up until I'm sure you aren't going anywhere. Jesus, Nick. Because I want to make sure we never part, dear. Gypsy says, I won't do it in person. You're all I would have in this life. She says, hi. Okay, so we're at 2:11 p.m. Hi, sweetie. I got rest and I'm myself again, baby. So Gypsy is back to herself. Tuesday, June the 2nd. I'm 1000% in, hun. I'm ready, truly. Why do you say that, baby? That's what Nick says. Why do you say that, baby? Gypsy says, because I finally allowed myself to accept you're my everything. I will go with you and live our dream. He says, okay, hun. She says, darling, I am so sorry about last night. I'm completely different. I'm your woman. He says, okay, dear. She says, and I will be truly your everything. I know I've been up and down, but darling, in 9 days, I'm yours forever. He says, true, hun. True, baby. She says, and yes, I'm gonna fight like hell for us, baby. Do you forgive me, darling? He says, baby, you have a couple questions to answer online. She said, please read, hun. He says, okay, dear. I said, by the way, I trashed my old show broken laptop. I trashed my old broken laptop. You know what I think? Because you know how she always says that Dee Dee smashed her laptop with a hammer? I sometimes wonder if Jip smashed that laptop with a hammer because she knew, she was about to murder her mother to get rid of it. I think a lot of what Gypsy says is either projection or made up. By the way, I trashed my old show computer laptop. So we can just use one computer together, hun. He says, dear, I answered you. And what about all the memories of us on your computer, sweetie? She says, I saved them, but fuck you. Okay, here we go with another mood swing. So what I think happened here is in the meantime, she went over to Facebook because Nick said, you have a lot to answer, you have a lot of questions to answer online. So she goes online and reads whatever the hell it is that he said, and she is pissed off. She says, I saved them, but fuck you. In all capitals, you don't get it, do you? Never mind. He said, dear, what the heck? She says, I tried being there for you. All you do is make me cry. I give everything for you. He says, I was trying to be nice while explaining myself. Then you say that? Dear, that was uncalled for. She says, I always put my best. And you say 90% bullshit. So he must have said something to her about only being 90% being in love with him, pretty much. He says, baby, I don't only make you cry. I have given you plenty of happy memories. And, remember, they've been talking for what, 2 years at this point? Yeah, Jip got big mad. Okay. We have plenty of happy memories. She says, who puts up with your overbearing ways, your ridiculous political shit? Everybody's overbearing, right? I bet that is a running theme in your life. Everybody's overbearing. Poor Gypsy. Oh, poor Gypsy, the victim. Okay, let me read that again. Gypsy says, who puts up with your overbearing ways, your ridiculous political shit? He says, dear, I'm not trying to argue with you, so please stop. She says, I was in a romantic mood. Now you screwed that to hell. He says, well, sorry, I'll leave you alone. All you do is push me away. She says, sadly, 10 minutes ago, all I wanted was to snuggle with you. Manipulator. He says, dear, just stop talking to me. You're only going to make things worse. Since apparently now I know I can't open up to you just because of that, you keep bitching. She says, I opened up. I was what you wanted and you pushed me away. Really? Really? He says, yeah, you told me to F off. I guess I'm a punching bag. She says, why couldn't you have just been loving? My God, this is after literally not even 24 hours after she told him that a life with him would be trash. I can't see the chat. I'm just glancing over when I can. What's up, Andy? Marguerite, Aleph. Toddy One Skip is amazing. I want to do a stream where I review her content. I really enjoyed Toddy. Oh my God, I can't with you, Ash. I can't. She said, I'm sorry, hun. Look, please don't fight. She said, just try and understand. I was saying how much I need you. And you basically called me a faker. You are a faker, bitch. He says, I didn't push you away. All I did was explain, and you told me off. If that is how you feel, then I guess I can't make you happy anymore. Sorry, I'm a failure to you. Gypsy says, can we please talk online, please? We're going to be living together soon. Shouldn't we at least try and make this work? She says, you are safe from me. You are safe from me now. I did the right thing. He says, dear, I hope you come back. She said, you are free, sweetie. So she's saying, you're free. You don't need me. I'll just leave. And you're free. You are free, sweetie. Then she says, you don't have a bitch of a girl now. Like, she took, I'll just, I can't. He says, free. Yes, free to die. Bye, my love. You see, like he is willing to lay down and die for her. If he can't have her, he doesn't want to live, basically. Okay, after she says all that, so gross. She comes back with, Daddy, Daddy, crying. And then she says, what do you mean? He's not answering her, okay? Let's see how many minutes have gone by. 3:35 a.m., 3:36 a.m. She says, my love, with a question mark. He does not answer. She says, in all caps, Nicholas, answer me. He finally writes back and says, sweetie, if Bella doesn't come back, I don't want anyone else, so I'll end it. My darling daughter, just know that Daddy always worshipped you. Bella is another one of her alter egos, or sorry, not alter egos, one of her people she role plays as. And she says, end what? I don't understand, Daddy. He says, I'm gone. Bye, my everything. I'll miss you all, and time to end it all. So he's going to go off himself. She says, wait, Daddy, wait. Please end us. You mean you won't be mine anymore? He says, what does my daughter want before I go to hell? She says, I want you to stay with me. You said you was going to get me. He says, Bella doesn't want me, so no one will have me but her. So I'll go to hell then if I can't have her. Why Bella? Like, why wouldn't it be Gypsy as like the top name here? Yeah, but I just don't think that Nick is capable of manipulating someone the same way that Gypsy is. Okay. She said, she does want you. She needs you. She says, you have had lots of girlfriends. You're handsome. He says, I'm done. Bye, my love. You say you need me, but you broke us off, so I cut myself off. If you don't stop me in time, because without you, I'm nothing. She said, are you threatening to kill yourself? You can't. He says, why? She says, because if you do, then I will as well. He says, in all caps, then come back before I do it, because you know I always back up my words. She says, please, please don't do it, my love. Please, please. I want you. I do. I'm bad for you, but I'm bad for you. Stay with me, please. He says, I'm about to put the blade on my wrist and let it bleed if you don't come back within the next 3 minutes. And she says, I'm here, my love. I'm back. In all caps, she says, look, I'm going to. What is that? I'm going on something. Look, I'm going on Facebook, maybe. Facebook now. This is at 4:01 in the morning, 4:01 a.m. He says, then I'll put the blade away for now. He says, you better get online if you mean that, what you are saying. She says, hug. Okay, now we're an hour. We're at 5:08. No. So it goes from 4:09 a.m. telling her to get online. Then at 5:11 p.m., she says, huge kiss for the one I missed. He says, oh dear. All right, now we're at 9:16 p.m., June the 2nd. He says, sweetie, I hope you are on soon because I'm missing you. She says, darling, I'm missing you too. Just let me take a small nap, okay, baby? He says, okay, sweetie, sweet dreams, my darling. She says, darling, I'm on now, but read a message sent to on our joint account. It's your cousin. Because they had a joint Facebook account, the Nicholas Bella Godejohn. She says, he wants to go fishing. He said, okay, sweetie. All right, so now we're Wednesday, June the 3rd. 4:42 p.m. Hi, darling. I'm sorry I fell asleep last night without telling you good night. He said, it's all right, hun. He said, I've noticed, though, you're on a lot less often than you used to be, dear. She said, I explained, hun. I'm on right now, baby. He said, okay, sweetie. So they took it over to the Facebook or something. Now we're to Thursday, June the 4th at 12:25 a.m. Sending hugs and kisses. He says, thanks, sweetie. She said, good afternoon, darling, because now we're at 12 p.m., 12:30-ish p.m. He said, good afternoon, sweetie. She said, oh my God, I had so many sex dreams of you last night. He said, of all different kinds, dear? She said, yes, darling. He says, okay, sweetie. She says, warning, I'm in a very sexual mood. Dang, Gypsy, it's 12:30 in the afternoon. You're getting freaky. He says, honey, you could be in a top-notch sexual mood throughout our life together, and it wouldn't bother me. She said, good, darling. You're going to need the energy. He said, why do you say that, baby? And then it jumps from 1:56 to 5:46 p.m. And she says, you pick it, hun. I don't know what that means. Message for you. 7:50 p.m. He says, babe, I'm already online. She says, he said, I had to restart my computer, dear. She said, okay, darling, at 8 p.m. Now, Friday, June the 5th, in the no, not the wee morning, 9:50 p.m. Darling, what color restraints do you want, black or pink? Jesus. He said, dear, we're collecting them, but get black, sweetie. She said, okay, darling. Now, Saturday, June the 6th, she says, 2:57 p.m. Honey, I was wondering, say I wanted to have sex with a guy before leaving town. Could I? That's another text message where you're like, what the fuck? Who is she wanting to get it on with? Hey, Pixel. Yeah, gag. I know, gag. I get it. But yeah, she's wanting to bone another guy before they run off after murdering her mother. Weird. Dan, I'm looking at you. She says, it's just curious question, LOL. She said, okay, so I know you're territorial, but I'm being tempted sexually. Darling, can we talk online, please? I'm guessing you're napping. It's all Gypsy. I thought you wasn't getting my text, hun. And then he says, 4:49 p.m. I didn't hear them though, dear, since my phone was on vibrate. She said, he agreed to meet up. We are going to get coffee at this cupcake place Thursday, so that will be, hold on. He agreed to meet up. We are going to get coffee at this cupcake place Thursday, so that will close that. It's a public place, so it's all good, hun. She's talking about Dan. Why is she meeting Dan at a cupcake place? He said, Dear, still I told I'll be around in the area of it to make sure he don't do anything, and you have to accept that. She said, okay, darling. She says, what time does our bus leave Thursday, hun? He says, and this is on Saturday, June the 6th, okay? And she's talking about what's going down on Thursday, or actually a day or two before Thursday, maybe. He says 6:13 p.m., dear. He says, or I may be off a few minutes, darling. She said, okay, hun. She says, I miss you, hun, so much. My heart is racing. I miss you, hun, so much. My heart is racing. He says, why is your heart racing? She says, because I can't wait to see you. He says, then we feel mutual, dear. She said, darling, you have an important message. Online, of course. He says, okay, baby. And they go on the internet. Now we're on June the 7th, Sunday. Well, same day, just in the wee morning hours. I'm wrong. 3:01 p.m. Darling, I was caught on my phone, but made my mom think I was during her phone. Okay, so Gypsy says to him, darling, I was caught on my phone, but made my mom think I was during her phone. Using her phone, probably. I got caught on the phone, but made my mom think I was using her phone. So I have to lay low until Wednesday. He said, okay, dear, just try to text me when you can. She says, okay, baby. Gypsy says, we can talk on Skype, hun. Where are the Skype videos? Please. And he said, okay, baby. And this, like, she's talking on Skype at 4:54 p.m. Where's her mom? Monday, June 8th. All right, this is the day before the murder, I think. Unless I got my date wrong. 2:28 a.m. Sweetheart, just wanted to say that I'm missing you, and also that I love, adore, and worship you, my everything. She says at 4:11 a.m. Darling, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't say goodnight. I was made to sleep on the front porch with bugs. She had to sleep on the front porch with the bugs? What? Sometimes I wonder if that's true or not. Like, because, she said her mom kicked her out. Makes me wonder if her mom kicked her out and she had nowhere to go. So she slept on the porch. I don't know. Or it's a lie. Or it's true. But if it were true, don't you think somebody would have saw her ass out on that front porch? Okay, so she was made to sleep with the bugs. Gypsy says, I peed in the bushes. It's been rough. She peed in the bushes. It's been rough. I don't believe it either. They can video call but not text. I don't know. I think they wanted, right? Look, she's doing the most and saying that her mom's controlling at the same time. I don't get it. The math ain't mathin'. I'm telling you, it's not. Okay, so she says she peed in the bushes and it's been rough. And then she says, 4:24 a.m. Darling, I'm not even sure of the password, but if it's not one angel heart, it would be my name, Gypsy Rose, or one Gypsy Rose. Password to what? What is that password to? She said, the good thing is if you forgot, if you forgot it, at least have your confirmation number down and the card it was purchased with, hun. Oh, they can look it up. She's talking about his bus ticket, I believe. He says, okay, baby, I was hoping you would have said our sacred words, but thanks for your help, hun. She said, you're welcome, my love. And I will text you, hun. He says, okay, dear. She says, I love, adore, and worship you, my everything. He says, I love, adore, and worship you, my everything times infinity. She says, aw. He says, baby, I called the cab company and everything is going well. She says, okay, sweetie, good. She says, I just ate. Feel a lot better now. Bet you do, bitch. Who cooked that meal? Because we know Gypsy couldn't even make macaroni and cheese. Her words. She was using a credit card. Where'd she get a credit card? Interesting. What are you doing, Ash? You draw me like one of your French girls. All right. He says, good, honey. She says, I can't believe you was able to go. Your mom is okay with it? He says, dear, it don't matter if she is okay with it or not. I'm my own man, honey. She says, I know, sweetie. If she knows you're escorting me back with you, it should be fine, hun. He says, she'll know within time, honey. Because he didn't tell his mom. He just left. She said, okay, darling, you have lots of guts. You're so brave. He says, I told you already, dear, nothing is keeping us from being together, and I meant it when I said that. She says, so do I. Okay, sweetie, text me soon to give me an update. Kiss. He says, will do, my love. And then he sends her a message and says, dear, my stepdad is taking... Oh, I was wrong. He didn't just burn off. Maybe that was when he went to the movies. Dear, my dad is... Dear, my stepdad is taking me to the bus station instead. She said, okay, sweetie. He said, dear, look at your email. I need to know the reference number. She gives him the reference number. He says, thanks, sweetie. And then she says, I got your back, hun. You're welcome. He says, I got your back too. Update. I'm at the bus station waiting for my time to get on the bus. She says, is it all good? You got the tickets, hun? He says, dear, please go with the story I told my mom and stepdad. He says, yes, dear. She says, please let me know what story. He says, I'll tell you in person, dear, because I'll be able to explain it better then. And I'm guessing the story was that she ran away. And I don't know. Gypsy says, okay, darling, I'm not saying a word on Facebook to anyone. He said, that's good, darling. She says, making up a song on the road to destiny. La, 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 la. Okay. He says, interesting, dear. She says, I have been on a bus from Hyannisport to Boston. I enjoyed it. He says, interesting, hun. She says, is Big Ben a safe place to live, hun? He said, darling, you almost never hear of crime in Big Bend. She said, they will soon. She said, that's wonderful. He said, yes, baby. She says, you might think I'm okay. She says, you might think I'm spoiled by how my room looks. A closet full of name brand clothes. Yeah, the name brand is Disney. He said, I already know you're spoiled, hun. Oh, this poor abused girl. Oh, Gypsy. Where's all the abuse? Where's the my mother is awful? Instead it's I got a fucking bed full of stuffed animals and a closet full of name brand clothes and about 500 wigs. Disney drip. Story was her mom kicked her out, right? Right. She's got the mind of a child. Oh no. No, she doesn't. The math ain't mathin'. Okay. He says, I already know you're spoiled, hun. She says, LOL. He says, I knew that would make you laugh, dear. She said, my heart is like boom, boom, boom. I don't think it knows how to be calm when you're going to be with me. He says, LOL, that's a good thing, dear. She says, darling, I'm going to go to the ER, get my tube changed. I'll be off my phone for a few hours. And she did go get her tube changed. Now, is she saying my mom is forcing me to go get my tube changed? No. I think Gypsy wanted to go get her tube changed because she knew she was leaving town and there wasn't a hospital in Big Bend. So, my mom forced me to get my tube changed. I don't believe that. Save that part so everyone can play it because now she's trying to get sympathy with the new book about being abused. Why is there no abuse in these text messages? Why is there nothing about her mom or the torture she's been put through? Where is that evidence? Not in the medical files. Not here. Not even when Gypsy was first arrested. No, 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 no. Munchausen by proxy was introduced by the defense. And after that, they went with it. They went with it and they didn't look at this the way they should have. All right. Again, she says, darling, I'm going to go to the ER, get my tube changed. I'll be off my phone for a few hours. He says, okay, hun, be safe. She says, you too, sweetheart. He says, all right, darling. He says at 3:26 p.m. update, dear, I'm on bus to Chicago. Update at 7:37 p.m. Darling, I'm on my way to St. Louis. Then now we're at 9:20 p.m. June the 8th. Update, this is Nicholas, of course. Update, dear, I'm at the bus station of what is that? Champaign, Illinois. Hope to be in St. Louis soon. She said at 9:26 p.m., "Darling, I'm home." He says, "That's good, dear. I'm glad you made it." She says, "It was a 6-hour wait in the ER." He said, "Wow." She says, "At least it's done, so we're good for a year." There you go. There you go. Right there. Not, "I can't believe my mom wouldn't let me get my tube taken out. My tube, it was horrible. Blah, 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 blah." She says in her interviews that her and her mother got into an argument over her tube and that she didn't want to have her tube changed. And she wanted to have her tube taken out. But right here, Gypsy Rose Blanchard talking about going and sitting in the ER for 6 hours to have her tube changed. And right here, she says, "At least it's done, so we're good for a year." Let me zoom in on that, okay? That's Gypsy. Glad that her tube was changed because it should last up to a year until she needs another changing. Ugh. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Mm-mm-mm-mm. All right. She said, "It can be done even by me, but I won't unless I have to." So she's saying she can change her own tube, but she doesn't want to. She wants to have the doctors do it instead, which is interesting, but whatever. And then at 9:34, "I missed you, baby." He says, "I missed you too, sweetheart." He says again, "Honey, sorry I didn't answer right away. I didn't feel it vibrate, dear." "Dear, I guess you are either busy or not online anymore." And then he says again at 10:30, "I guess you aren't able to keep me company right now. I hope you're back soon because I'm already missing you, hun." She answers back and says, "Hi, sweetie, I'm here. I just ate and took a bath, hun." Sounds like a really distressed person. I mean, she ate dinner, she got her tube changed, she took a bath. Sounds like someone really scared for their life, right? God. The Mickey button? This one?
YouTube's name was Mickey Button. And so she came up with a song. It went like this. Mickey Button, MICKEYBOTTON. Mickey Button, Mickey Button. YouTube's name was Mickey Button. And
Sorry, I forgot I had it on repeat. BOTTON button. Makes me laugh. From Milwaukee to Springfield, Missouri would be a 12.5-hour bus ride. Wow. Fuck that. And he did that just to go to the movie theater. Okay. "Are you listening to your iPod, hun?" He says, "Yay, I'm glad you are." Because she had just eaten and took a bath. She said, "LOL." He says, "Okay, no, baby, just waiting for text from you and paying attention to my surroundings." She said, "Okay, sweetie. Well, I was able to make peace with mom." All right. We're at 10:40 p.m., June the 8th. And she says, "Okay, sweetheart. Well, I was able to make peace with mom." He said, "I knew you would. I believed in you that you could do it the full time, dear." She said, "I feel better, heart. I just can't believe you're like in Missouri, and it's so overwhelming in a good way. He said, I hope in a good way, hun. She says, my darling, in a great way, hun. I feel so excited. He says, I'm glad we feel mutually about this situation, darling. She says, tomorrow is the last night we sleep alone. He says, true, baby. However, I'm going to pay for nights separately. He's talking about the hotel. She says, okay, hun. He said, so the night you come to the hotel is another separate night from tomorrow, dear. He says, darling, as you know, I'm trying to save as much money as I can. She says, I know, baby, and you don't need to pay for me to sleep with you at the hotel. I will sneak with you. So she's sneaking in that hotel. He says, I know, dear, that's what I plan on doing. She says, good, hun. He says, dear, don't deny it. You even knew that was what I was planning on doing. She says, well, yeah, I'm your gal. Bring me back to your hotel. Wink, wink. He says, with pleasure, my dear. Guess you are busy, hun. He says, I guess you aren't able to keep me company right now again. I hope you're back soon because I'm already missing you again, hun. She says, bites lip, squeaks. She says, I'm back, hun. He says, LOL, nice try. Nice way to come back, sweetie. All right, Tuesday, June 9th at 12:02 a.m. Thanks for the laugh, dear. She says, hey, I can't help it. You're a sweetie. He said, well, then, would a sweetheart like a sweetie? She said, I would, sweetie. Sweetie. He says, then ask daddy politely, sweetheart. She says, I have daddy's sweetness, please. May I have, yeah, you get it. He says, yes, you may, dear, but warning, once you taste it, you don't want anything. You'll be so addicted to it, darling. She says, I'm fine with being daddy's little addict. What? Oh my. Thought she didn't know anything about drug abuse or wow. Yeah, okay, Nina. How are you doing, Nina? Very uncomfortable. You should read all of them. Yeah, they get interesting. And this whole thing with her pretending to be his daughter and acting like a child is gross. He says, she said, I'm fine with being daddy's little addict. He says, that's daddy's girl. She says, LOL. He says, why the laughter, hun? Gypsy says, because I'm so happy. All right. This is like, what, less than 24 hours before mom's going to be murdered. She's just happy as can be. He said, that's a great reason, dear. Still no mention of any kind of abuse. She sent a smiley face. He says, LOL with some sort of smiley face. She says, and we're at 12:26 a.m. on June the 9th. She says, sweetness, I'm going to go take my meds. He says, okay, dear. He says, update, I'm in St. Louis, honey. She says, yay. So he has made it to Missouri. At 1:20 a.m., he says, yes, dear. And then at 1:39 a.m., update, sweetie, I'm about to be on my way to Springfield. And then he says, update, this is at 2:03 a.m. Update, sweetheart, I'm on my way to Springfield now. 2:20 a.m. Gypsy, my heart just leapt out now. Her heart is full. He says, why is that, hun? She says, because I want to know. He says, why is that, hun? And then he says, because I want to know why, dear. And then he says, she has not responded. And he says, I hope it's a good reason, dear, or you'll worry me. And she didn't answer. And he said, please tell me soon, honey. You don't need me worried about you. Gypsy finally responds and says, darling, it's because I'm so happy. You near? You're near. She's so happy he's near. I'm perfectly wonderful. She is perfectly wonderful. He says, okay, dear, I was scared for a moment there, but now I'm blissful, sweetie. And then he says, true, baby, I'm getting close. She said, so am I, darling. What? He says, great, because that's always how I want you, honey. She said, try and get some sleep on the bus, hun. He says, nah, I'll just get it at the hotel, sweetheart. She says, okay, darling, well, I'll check back later. I may sleep for a bit. I think you get to town at 5:15 a.m. He says, okay, baby, you know I'll keep you updated. She says, darling, I don't think the hotel takes check-ins until 11. He says, no, they do. I'll just have to pay a bit more, hun. She said, okay, darling, good. He says, 3:09 a.m. By the way, the taxi number is blah, blah, blah. Oh, she said that. Sorry. The taxi number. She's giving him the taxi number. He says, yes, sweetie, and I'm walking to the hotel. I've done it before, and it saves money, but thanks for the number, hun. I'm sorry. He says, update. This is at 5:36 a.m. I'm in Springfield, baby. She says, yay. He says, no, she says, 6:19 a.m. I was asleep, LOL. She says, you're at the hotel, hun? He says, yes, sweetie, but it was extra expensive. She says, that's fine, hun, as long as you're safe. He says, I'm safe, hun, but I may barely make it to you tomorrow. I'm under $200. She said, you'll make it. How much is a night tomorrow, hun? He says, no, sorry, Gypsy says, you're not far from me, maybe 4 miles. He says, well, I had to pay $140 for one night because I was early, dear. She says, unless you want to do it tonight, like the late part of the night. Unless you want to do it tonight, like the late part of tonight, because it's 6:55 a.m. Question mark. She said, it would have to be, and then she says, it's the only way to get you money and everything go like we planned. He says, 50 of the dollars I should get back, though, because it's a safety deposit, hun. He says, it all matters on the soonest you want to see me, hun. Hey, Goizer Mass. Ing, how you doing? Is this all from the... Yeah, this part, I'm now on the day that they do it, yes. Rosie Posey. Does Gypsy write like this when not talking to Nick? I would think so. All right. Right. Guac and roll doesn't sound like someone that's being forced to take meds. Nope. All right. Gypsy says at 7 a.m. Tonight, hun. Tonight, hun. Your mom. What is that? Tonight, hun. Your mom is like pissed and worried. Call her. All right. So Nick's mom is freaking out, wanting to know where he's at. She messaged me to get you to call her. He says, I already talked to her, dear. Everything is fine. You need to answer my question, though, honey. She says, I will text you. We are doing this tonight, hun. It won't be until later, like in the AM times. So get your rest, darling. He says, baby, should I still get the room tomorrow? She says, well, we would have more money. So yes, hun. Where are you going to get the rest of that money? Because you're about to get your mom killed. He says, what about sneaking you in, dear? She says, I will, hun. I am not forbidden from your room. He said, you mean we will, dear, sneak her into the hotel room. He says, baby, you won't be. She says, yes, we will, hun. Did you bring your computer, hun? If you look up where you're at and my house, we are close. He says, honey, you know I always bring my computer. Well, can we see what's in that computer? I want to know what the hell was going on in these other chats. And why was none of that put into evidence? It's out there. It's got to be. He said, honey, you know I always bring my computer. She said, okay, good, hun. I just told your mom you're perfectly fine. He said, that's good, dear. She says, hun, does he, talking about his evil side, Gypsy says, hun, does he require just the gloves and knife? A knife that Gypsy stole from Walmart, okay? Does he require the gloves and knife? He says, Nicholas says, hun, that side of me expects duct tape too to muffle her. She says, okay, baby, we have that. Gypsy says, I'll pre-cut it. She's going to pre-cut the duct tape for him. Then he says, that's good, dear. However, he expects you to give him the full roll. She says, I will. We only have black bondage tape and Minnie Mouse duct tape. Good God. He said the Minnie Mouse duct tape. That's what Nick said about his evil side. She said, okay, hun. He said, dear, I should ask you this before he has to. Is your mom a light or deep sleeper? She says, and keep reference of the time here. So this is at 7:30 in the morning, 7:30 a.m. And this is what they're talking about because it's going to go down tonight, right? So she says, light, hun, that her mom's a light sleeper. He says, okay, dear. Now he's excited. She says, she sleeps on her tummy, like I said, but light sleeper, hun. She says, the shit's gonna go down tonight, Ruby said. Let's zoom in on that. Right there. The shit's gonna go down tonight, Ruby said. And Ruby, of course, is what she called her, quote, evil side, which is just a role-playing thing. Role-playing here. This is not... anyways. All right. He says, what does she mean by that, dear? And then he says, please let me know as soon as you can, hun. She says, Gypsy, it means it all happens tonight. He says, how does Ruby feel about it, hun? She says, she keeps me numb in order to cope and survive, hun. Keeping me focused. He says, okay, dear, I guess she seems to be learning how to deal with him slowly then. She says, for motivation's sake, bring your A game, hun. This is life with me on the line. You hear that? You hear that? For motivation's sake, bring your A game, hun. This is life with me on the line. So bring your A game. You either got to kill my mom or you don't get to be with me. I cannot. Ruby was Gypsy's bad girl persona. Yeah, she is. She's supposed to be her evil side. It's not alter egos. It's just role playing. Gypsy says, yes, hun. Hold on. Yes, hun. Each part is a slow lover and learner, maybe not Candy. Candy is another one of her role-playing people that she made up. Candy, Kitty, Bella, Damona, Ruby. Okay, so then he says, babe, it's my evil side doing it. He won't mess up because he enjoys killing. He says, why you say that about Candy, dear? And she says about Candy, which is herself, or one of her role-playing things. She says she loves fast. LOL. He says, so she'll attach onto him instantly, dear? Yes, I mean my dom side, dear. She says, exactly, hun. He says, okay, baby, as long as it's only to him and she would use other guys or he will see to put her in her place quickly, dear. She said, that's right, hun, with a heart. It's almost 8 a.m. Let's see. He says, good, dear. And then he says, baby, please make sure to read the last message and answer it, please. And I'm guessing he means on Facebook. She says, hi, sweetie, just checking on you. He said, hey, dear, I miss you too. Okay, now we're at 7 p.m., almost 8 o'clock at night. 7:58 p.m. All right, he says, guess you didn't have time to answer me, hun. So a couple minutes go by. He says, this night is going by slow. She says, aw, I'm preparing. He said, I see. He says, talk to you later, I guess. And she still doesn't answer. And he says, I say this because you're obviously busy. And then she answers back a couple minutes later, LOL, okay, baby. He says, why the laughter? I don't get it. He says, no okay, because she is just like not answering. And he's like pacing the floors. So he says, no explanation, I see. Today is really falling apart. Wow. Obviously, you're not as lonely without me as I am without you, because you're not truly communicating with me, and you have no clue how painful it is to me. You wouldn't be laughing at me. And she says, finally, darling, I'm getting naked in the tub. I was only excited. She says, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just happy. She says, I'm in the tub, hun. He says, sorry, dear. I guess I'm just missing you too much. It's overwhelming me. She says, I left the gloves outside the front door, and the screen door is squeaky, so try to open it just enough to get in and close it gentle. Okay, got it? We're at 8:36 p.m. And she says, I miss you too, I miss you too soon, sweetheart. And then she says, I'll hand him the knife and duct tape inside, darling. And then she says, It's pre-cut and ready. And then she says, does your mom know about me going back with you, hun? And he says, dear, you're telling all this to my evil side since he is the one agreed to do it. He says, dear, I was open to her about that, to his mom, about that a long time ago, and she is letting me make life decisions by myself with you, hun. She trusts me. She just doesn't know the full, dear. Full plan, dear. He says, does her floor squeak, hun? Yes, he wanted me to ask you. She says, no, hun, it's all carpet. He says, she says, tell him my private parts are shaved. Now, do you remember when she told the cops, he made me shave everything? He forced me to do it. Just like he forced me to clean up the blood. Bitch, you are a liar. Liar. So she's in there shaving herself. He says, okay, baby, he is excited to do this. What about the rest of your bottom half? Is what he had me ask you. She said, I will do my legs as soon as he knocks, hun. What? She's going to shave her legs when he knocks on the door? Is that what she said? He said, okay, baby, don't be alarmed if he speaks. Because, yes, it sounds evil, hun. She says, okay, darling, I'm going to go eat, hun. Oh, she is just so worried, right? And she's still eating and shaving. He said, that's daddy's good girl. She said, I'm doing my nails too. Remember her and her mom, she painted her mom's nails pink. You sleep on a bed of lies, gyp shit. Hey, Jetica. I'm doing my nails too. I know, right? She peed in the bush. He says, well, dear, did say he expects you to look like his woman should, so that is a good idea, darling. He said, red fingernail polish, hun? She's not answering. He says, dear, to please him, I suggest you wear red lipstick too, hun. Just trying to help you out, baby. She says, I don't have any, hun. She says, I'm painting them a dark pink, hun. It goes with my pink boots. Oh! And that ugly ass pink dress Gyp was strolling on the beach in. He says, lip gloss, hun, possibly pink if you want him to be a magnet to you. Well, pink makes him a magnet to you, dear. She says, I have pink lip gloss, hun. He says, if you want him to be a magnet to you, then wear it, dear. Oh, yeah. Sounds a lot like grape, right? Because that's what she still claims, is that he graped her. No, he didn't. She says, okay, hun. He says, so will you, hun, or how do you wish to present yourself to him? He says, answer that question when you get the chance to, dear, as long as you answer it. So we're at 10 o'clock at night. All right. It's 10:01 p.m. She hasn't answered him for about 30 minutes. And he says, hun, you still haven't answered that question. I'm still waiting. She says, I'll just be in my nightgown with painted pink nails and lip gloss. He says, okay, dear, but when he gets you from the bathroom, let me start over. I was itching my eyeball. Okay, dear, but when he gets you from the bathroom, I suggest you are naked when he sees you after the deed. She says, okay, darling. And then she says, I won't say goodnight online. I want to say it in person, hun. He says, that's understandable, darling, along with our first real goodnight kiss, sweetie. She says, exactly, daddy. Ugh, so gross. He says, "Aw, that never gets old when you call me daddy, sweetie." She says, "You should get some sleep, hun. Mom goes to bed at like 4 a.m. and we are at 10:19 p.m." He says, "Honey, I got too much sleep already." Gypsy says, "Okay, darling." And then she says, "I'll wear you out." Wink, winky face. He said, "Hun, don't forget you got to deal with my evil side first because we have our fun. So he may wear you out because if you forgot, he is the most sexual part of me." Well, we know that's not true because he could barely get it up. He says, "Please don't forget that, dear, when I wear you out even more, honey." She said, "Okay, darling, I understand." He said, "I'm glad you do, baby. I'll enjoy just being able to touch your silky skin." She says, "I can't wait to be with you too, darling, but you know if you want to wait for sex, we have all day tomorrow, just so you know." She says, after my deal. After my deal, whatever that means. He says, "Honey, our nicknames as a couple is Mr. and Mrs. Sex." Oh, that's creative. What? He said, "Oops. So what do you think I'm thinking, dear?" She says, "I know what you're thinking, hun. You have me as much as you can. You have me as much as you can." He said, "Darling, see, we're true to our nicknames as a couple, honey." He says, "Because I know you won't want it any other way. Right, dear?" I guess you're okay. So now we're at 11 p.m. "I guess you're not there, hun. Hope you're back soon." And then she pops up. "Right, darling, but can we take our time, hun?" He says, "We will be able to at the hotel, sweetheart." She said, "Okay, good, sweetheart. I hope I look pretty." He said, "Honey, you'll always look appealing to me." She said, "I hope so, hun. I'm shaking. I am nervous. I guess it's the if it all goes okay." He says, "Baby, it will, and you better than not just the romantic wife of mine, but also my twin flame, my twin flame, female daughter soulmate that you were meant to be, honey." She says, "I am, daddy, just as a backup. If it doesn't go right, run out of the house as fast as you can, hun." So she's saying if Dee Dee bucks you off of her, you better run out that door. "Hey, Apple Charlotte, good to see you." These two, yeah, so hot. It's so fetch. So she tells him to run out the house if Dee Dee overpowers him and he can't do it. He says, "Baby, there is no other option. He is going to finish her no matter what. That is how he is." She says, "Okay, darling, he is brave. I respect and admire that." Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. And she sends a smiley face, and then she says, "Okay, darling." Okay, it's just a repeat text. Then she says, "How's the bed? Is it soft, hun?" He says, "Honey, you forgot though. He is ruthless and his hatred of her will force her to die, hun." He said, "You'll enjoy it, baby," talking about the bed at the hotel. She says, "What will you be wearing, hun?" He says, "Something that will terrify her, hun. It's all It's all black, and my evil side picked the full outfit, darling. She says, okay, darling, I just have to remember it's still you. He says, yes, just the darkness in me, dear, just like Ruby is the darkness in you, honey. She said, but after we comfort each other. And then he says, after we do that, sweetheart, I'll hold you like the baby girl of mine that you are. She says, and we will be happy soon after this night. We never bring it up. He says, baby, we wouldn't except for the part about us meeting, honey. Quick, kitty, kitty. She says, right, hun. He says, I knew we were clicking on the right, honey. Right tone. He says, sorry for confusing you, dear, but I hope you know what I meant. Hopefully you answer soon, dear. Okay, so the clock's a ticking and she's not answering. Wednesday, June the 10th. So we are at, oh crap. Sorry. Okay, where are we? 1:08 a.m. She messages him. 1:08 a.m. Okay. Does anybody's cat ever take the straw out of your cup? Because that's what's going on right now. I have a cup here with a straw, and the cat likes to take the straw out of the cup. So I apologize. Anyways, so she says, I know what you mean, hun. It's getting close to time. She took her sleep aid pill. He says, okay, baby, I'm trying to calculate the money for the ride there. She says, and once you're inside the house, we stay silent, not even a whisper, until after I open the bathroom door. Okay, sir? And then he shoved me in the bathroom. He forced me into the bathroom. Bullshit. He says, okay, hun. No, she says, okay, hun. And then she says, probably $10 for the cab ride. He says, dear, never underestimate his will to kill, and also give your address so I make sure I have the right one. She says, I just want to say this. Thank you. You're my hero, and I will never leave you. I'm staying with you for eternity. You're my hero, she's telling him. Oh, yeah. Poor innocent little Gyp. All right. We're at 1:12 a.m., and she gives him the address. 2103 West Volunteer Way, Springfield, Missouri, 6580. I think that's a 1. He says, okay, baby, but he hasn't said anything yet, dear. Thank you, sweetheart. She says, my house has the ramp, and the front porch ramp is painted white. He says, okay, dear. She says, you're welcome, my twin flame soulmate. I have said my I love yous to her. I'm at peace. You hear that? You hear that? Yes, guac and roll. Sorry. Yes, it was technically June the 10th, but in the early morning hours. We're at 1:15 a.m. Okay. She's at peace. She said, I have said my I love yous to her. I'm at peace. Gypsy's at peace. Nick says, I'm proud of you, sweetie, and I'm glad I could help. She says, will you need Will you need an anxiety medication to calm you after, hun? She says, you're the most important person to me, sweetie. You're like me. Fight for what you want and need. Took us. Took us. Stop it, Neo. What did you say? I thought now I can say that instead of anal. I can just say up the tookus. Okay, he says, "Dear, I don't believe in meds in me. I seem to be immune to them, but you just do what I taught you and I'll calm down if it is me. But just listen and obey my evil side and you'll calm down within. Dear, I don't believe in it's the same thing. My evil side and you'll calm down with time." Gypsy says, "I hope he loves me too, not just Ruby." She says, "I hope he loves," duplicate text. All right, we're at 1:21 a.m. She says, "I got pain meds for my back and I exercise my legs, so I'm a bit weak walking, but I'll build strength." Interesting. Okay. Weird. He says, "No, you mean to say you're like daddy. It could be part of why you're a daddy's good girl, but you're more like daddy than you may realize, dear." She says, I'm not used of my weight of walking. Gravity is new. LOL. That's bullshit. That's bullshit." He says, "I believe in you, honey, as I always have, so I know someday you'll walk completely normal." She says, "I just realized the next New Year's I'll be able to kiss you. I never had a New Year's kiss." Love that I caught this on live, showing the text that shows nearly every trick by the Gyp. Hi, friends in the chat. Greetings. Nice to see you, Prismo. Not self-defense. The little goblin should never have been released. Justice for Nick. Amen. I totally agree. She figured out there's no law for accessory to murder, but didn't realize they can get. I know, right? It's weird. New Year's kiss. I need to practice kissing. We are like two fish going for one hook. Ew. The mental image. No. She says at 1:27 a.m. she's drifting off to sleep. Is there anything you need to know, hun? He says, and as for him loving you, my evil side does, however, you must obey him without question unless you don't know what to do. Otherwise, obey him without question, dear. And someday he'll worship you. And it's the same thing. And he says, baby, we're natural at kissing. We just need time to prove it. Like a fish going for one hook. Hey, Mercedes girl. I'm so glad you stopped in. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Okay. She says, will he allow me to wet? Will he allow me to wet his ... your penis before he takes me, hun? I don't know if he's going to do the tookus or the front tookus or the vag. She says, I don't know if he's going to do the back or the front. I was hoping to do it in the tookus. This is Gyp. I was hoping to do it in the tookus with you first. He says, not that I can think of, dear, except you're letting him in the front, darling. She says, because at the hotel we can go slow. Oh, and you may not need to put on the gloves because we will sink it so it's never found. And yes, front. The front door. She is a dirty, dirty girl. Stop it. Okay. He says, dear, when he grapes, he takes all parts of the body. So he'll most likely do tookus to you, hun. He's going to get in that tookus. He is still going to put the gloves on, dear. See, like, she's not wanting him to put the gloves on. I feel like that's another little setup there. You know, why are you trying to kind of, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I read it wrong. Maybe she made him put the gloves on. I don't know. Gypsy says, will he at least put saliva so I don't get traumatized, hun? Nick says, remember to take my words to heart, dear. Just listen and obey him without question, and he won't traumatize you. But if you aren't a good girl, he will then do it. Just depends on how well you listen to him, darling. It's go time. Are you ready? Oh, sorry, that's Gypsy. On how well you listen to him, dear. Gypsy says, at 1:40 a.m., I'll listen to him, darling. It's go time. Are you ready? She says, no matter what, I'm yours forevermore. He said, and thanks for answering the questions, hun. So should I call the cab, dear? She says, at 1:41 a.m., I love, adore, and worship you, my everything. Yes, darling, call the cab. He says, I understand, dear, as I am the same. I love, adore, and worship you too, my everything times infinity. Okay, baby, see you soon, dear, Gypsy says at 1:48 a.m. By the way, the gloves are blue, and how long must I hold my ears, hun? He says, 5 at the most, dear, and the next time will be from him. The next text. Okay, so he's trying to switch over to his evil side here. So the next text will be from him. Gypsy says, okay, darling, I'll talk to you when this is all done. 1:52. He says, yes, hun. 2:01 a.m. She says, sir, will you text me once you're at the door with the gloves on? She's sleeping very lightly. He says, I'm here, and you get your ass to the bathroom. You open the door. She says, 2:08 a.m. Yes, sir. I'm going now, sir. Breathes once. What is that? Breathes once. And that's it. Those are all of the text messages. And I feel exhausted after reading all that. It's a lot to take in, right? I don't know. We'll have to marinate on that. Was that admitted in trial? I don't know if they read like from beginning to end, but yes, they read a lot of them in the trial. Thank you, Jetica. It's a lot to read. It's a lot to read. Okay. I'm going to take a little bathroom break, and I will be right back, and then we can end this. So hold your horsies. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat, and I'll read them when I get back. So I'll be right back. me read some comments before we wrap it up. Let's see. She wanted him to use the gloves on her, probably. The rubber gloves. Stop it, Neo. It's not one of those big black ones with Vaseline. I'll stop there. She stole the knife. She provided him with something fare. With what? With bus fare. She gave him money for the hotel and she provided him with gloves and duct tape. This was murder for hire. Exactly. I saw someone else bring that up the other day. That, you're planning a crime across state lines at that. And let us not forget that Gyp, after the murder, put the knife in a mailing envelope and she mailed the bloody knife and the gloves to Nicholas's house. Like, that is so stupid to me. Why would you mail the murder weapon and the gloves? Because she was trying to set him up. That's my opinion. She was going to set him up from the very beginning of this plan of hers. In 2015, the trials weren't aired as they are today. I was shocked, though, when Gypsy was released. Well, his trial's on there, and, there's footage. She took a plea deal. So she didn't have to go to trial. And that's why she got the deal that she got, because she cried victim and they came up with Munchausen by proxy. I fully believe, in my opinion, this is not a case of Munchausen by proxy. This is a case of fraud, and it always has been. Medical fraud all the way around. She thought she was clever, very conniving little wench. Yeah, bitch. Can't stand her. Cannot. And if y'all missed that Mother's Day video, go check that out. My mom did one for those DNA tests. She's 18% South Italian. I thought, wow, that's so fetch. Sliving. I cannot. Well, now Gyp is back in Louisiana. Things are slowing down a little bit. Gypsy Manson or Gypsy Simpson? I thought it. Did y'all see on Gypsy's TikTok? She reposted, because Lifetime is doing a series or like a little series with Nicole Brown Simpson's sisters, interviewing them about OJ Simpson and all of that. So she's got a big old picture of OJ Simpson on her TikTok, and I just find it very ironic. They have so much in common, her and OJ. Imagine her rolling around in Walmart, going into sporting goods, and goes to the knives under glass as she ponders the size and sharpness. How did she steal the knife? Maybe I've never been to the knife section. Literally does silver. She has a lizard stump. That's fact. That is fact. The Gypsy snark pages crack me the fuck up. They are so funny. There's a lot of them. I can't remember the name of it right now, but there's one on TikTok that is so hilarious. She does have a lizard tongue. For show. For show. All right, guys. Any parting words? Any final thoughts? I'm all talked out for the day. Feel like I need a Ludens. Needs a cough drop. I'm parched. I counted 15 lizard tongue actions during. Oh my god! Well, she did it too when she was drinking that milkshake, that Hailey Bieber smoothie. I know, and you know who her biggest stan is, if you're over from the TikTok side, is Bree. Bree is an idiot. Bree is Oh, I cannot. Gypsy goes up in her chats. I can't. I can't stand listening to her talk about old Jip Jip. Like, shut the fuck up. You're really dumb, Bree. I know you're not going to hear this, but I just want you to know that you're really dumb. Really dumb. What section do you usually shoplift? Shut up, Neo. She had half a sip and went, oh my God. Yeah, oh my God. This is so good. She's playing it up. She's acting just like she said she's never been on a fucking beach. We all know she's been on the beach. A compilation. We'll put that request out there. Someone can do a compilation of Jip Jip's lizard tongue. Let us know. Thank you, Wild One. Feel like I haven't seen you guys in forever. I've been staying out of Discord, so I feel like I never talk to anybody anymore. But I just don't really go in Discord anymore. It's probably for the best. I pop in here and there when I can. But doesn't mean I don't care or that I don't love you guys, because I do. The lizard tongue. The D was not fire. That was a lie. His body temperature, fire. What does Brie go by on TikTok? I feel like winding some. Oh, she is so easy to trigger. All you have to do is disagree with her. She has me blocked. I don't know why, but I go on another account. But her name is like Says Brie. Like, yeah, Says Brie or Brie Says. She's an idiot. I'll send you her link or something, Apple Charlotte. She's a fucking idiot. Brie is banned on TikTok. Yeah, I know. Guac and roll. I know. I saw that catastrophe. Why did she end her live? Did anybody see that last night? She came on YouTube. She has no idea how to work YouTube. And she gets super triggered by the chat. And I don't know what someone came in there and said to her, but she cussed out the camera and then shut it off. Brie is this idiot from TikTok who thinks she wants to snuggle with Jip Jip. She stalks Gypsy in her real life, like they talk, and it's so weird. This girl is so dumb. It's just someone else being played by Gypsy. But she's such an idiot. And she went to Jazz Fest and hunted her down with her dirty fingernails. Does she have a YouTube? No, she's not live right now. She has 100 subscribers on YouTube. Just, I don't know. She has been, though, exposing old Natasha, old Big Shug over there. Big Shug been trying to milk the Micah Miller stuff. Makes me fucking sick. Because that woman is the most disingenuous piece of shit. And all she wants is your money. And remember that when you're sitting on fucking TikTok, taking Natasha Cooper's word on some bullshit. She doesn't do her homework. I'm sorry, she doesn't. The fact that she's trying to push some narrative on this Micah Miller stuff makes me sick. It's really not. Oh, anyways, that's for another day. Yeah, Brie would throw herself in front of a bus for Gypsy. I'm telling you. Yeah, Ing, she just can't be on YouTube anymore. The old Big Shug. So she's over there on TikTok, sucking in people using Micah Miller. Fucking pig. So maybe Brie should just stick to exposing Natasha. I think she would maybe do a little better with that. I encourage her to go in that direction instead of simping for Gypsy. Oh, thank you. Happy Mother's Day. I hope everybody had a great Mother's Day. Who is Brie on YouTube? What's her name here? I think it's says _ Brie, BRI. Yeah. I think. Yeah. Says _Bree. Anyone that doesn't agree with Bree is automatically a fancy cult member. She's so weird. Can't with that one. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. Got to get some things done before I go pick up my kiddos. I hope everybody had a great Mother's Day, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. I may be back whenever I can. School is wrapping up, which is insane. This year has gone by way too fast. But I will be back for, I don't know what I'm going to do next. I got to think about it. Because we could always go through the crime scene photos again, dig deeper into the case file. But anyhow, I appreciate you guys coming. Shout out to the replay crew. You guys rock. You know, leave your comments down in the comment section. Hit that thumbs up, all those good things. And with that, I'm out of here. Everybody have a good day. All right. See you later. Peace out. Bye. A disclaimer that I don't have all that much time today. Got a little bit of time today.
This beat is going to drop in 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's fair game, right? Bye, everybody. A disclaimer.